Guys, it's me, Jen,
And I'm Liam, and welcome to Unlimited Time Magic.
where the magic is you.
Enjoy the episode, and we'll see you on Main Street. Bye!
Christmas time is here. Happy
Caroline and cheer. I don't know
Caroline
the
is
words
here.
that well, so that's embarrassing.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the season 2 finale of Unlimited Time Magic.
Finale.
Giving you a high mix though.
Yeah.
How are you, Jen? Season 2.
I'm so good. I'm so good.
Season 2.
I am so focused. November is buckle up, baby. There is no margin. There is no room for error. This is the month of focusing and getting the things done. So I've got the eye of the tiger. Did you know that's what I was going to say?
We're twins and we came from the same person.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. No, yeah, it's Christmas.
It's go time.
It's Christmas. And anybody who has been in any line of work, you understand that Christmas starts at November because that's when you get the new merchandise. That's when you plan for December. That's when, so it's go time for sure.
Okay, so can I give my favorite encouragement for people who already saw the calendar flip over and went, okay, the 12 days of Christmas don't end on December 25th. The first day of the 12 days of Christmas is actually December 24th, I believe. Christmas Eve starts the 12 days of Christmas, okay? So you actually have until January 6th. So what I like to tell people is all of the things that you're too busy to enjoy, because most of us have this dual thing. We have whatever we do for work, which if you are in one of those enviable positions where your job is slower during the holidays, I just want to give you a slow clap.
Congratulations.
But the rest of us, fourth quarter is insane. Christmas is insane. If you're in the theme park industry, it's insane. If you are, a content creator, it's insane.
Right.
So that can be, that's kind of a dead time, right? December 24th to January 6th is very quiet, kind of across the board. I suppose there's a few industries where it's not, but that's
you're right, though.
Yeah. So that's what I like to tell people. The things that you are frustrated that you can't do that are fun, the movies, the food, whatever, just push it to then.
I am very, very excited for this holiday season. For any of you who don't follow us, this Christmas, I'm gonna get to know you better. I love that song. I really do love that song. I'm not kidding. There's a really cute Disney Plus movie called Noelle with Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader.
Love it.
And it's not incredible, it's not very good, but it's the right amount of bad. And I think
it's right
Anna
in
Kendrick
between
knew
Hallmark
that.
movie. It's right in between Hallmark movie and feature film. Here's feature film, here's Hallmark movie. I would put this solidly in the middle of those two.
But there is a cover of This Christmas sung by, it's a great band, Lawrence, I think I'm right. And it's an up and coming indie band or whatever, or at least I hadn't heard of them prior. And they sing a cover of it. It's really good. But if you don't follow us on Instagram at Unlimited Time Magic, I'm heading over to Epcot for some character attendant, and it kind of hit me this week that I was like, oh, I'm going because of Festival of Holidays, because each Santa has a character attendant.
Are you allowed to say who you're attending?
It's different every day. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Yeah.
So you might get Sinterklaas, or you might get Pierre Noel.
Yeah,
Who
exactly. So it'll be fine.
You're burying the lead.
Oh.
Wait. I'm going to give a musical cue. You know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to give a musical cue.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Oh, shoot. Now I've got this Christmas in my head. I can't get there. Dun, 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 dun.
Y'all, last night I had the pleasure of being the first audience to see Fantasmic. So I thought my reaction to Disneyland's Fantasmic was going to be emotional, and it really wasn't. It was it was cool. It was very sparkly because
it's not your Fantasmic though. It's not your Fantasmic,
right? And I walked through the gates of Fantasmic at studios. First off, how awful those crowds. No matter if the theater's half full, no matter if it's fully full, it feels awful, no matter which way you go. But it's a part of the fun, and like lightly hearing the culty Disney Mania music as you're walking into the gates, and you're like, I think I'm walking to my death.
Not as much as you felt during Villains Grove at Oogie Boogie, but close.
But Villains Grove was like, you're passing on, and like you're like going, and like it's like the villain's Messiah versus like
the villain's Messiah
versus like Fantasmic is almost like self-inflicted death.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got there very early because I went with 2 other people. I went with 4 people, but 2 of them were like losing their minds, and God bless them, they were. One of them, including my roommate, he was just losing it, and he was having a great time.
Did anybody wear merch? Did anybody wear like Fantasmic themed clothing?
People, like people around us, not in the party, but a lot of people were wearing OG merch. But it was great, like, I don't know, a myriad of responses, because we had Camden and Zayd who were like freaking out, and Brie and I overstimulated. We were like, we'd rather be home right now. But the show started. We sat in Mickey, which is the center. We were there for an hour and a half before the show, so we were there for a long time. And it's like
you were the nerds. You were the Fantasmic nerds.
It was like that awful like office party that your husband brings you to, and like you just have to watch people say hi to each other, and you're like, oh my god.
Oh, because it's all cast members. It's all cast members.
It is. But I got to see some
cast
of my old
members
leaders, but...
have this is Jen talking, not Liam, if anyone from Disney is listening. And I am not employed by the Disney Corporation. And this is not based on anything that Liam has told me. This is based on conversations I have had with other cast member friends throughout the years. Was that enough of a disclaimer for what I'm getting ready to say? Free citizen, Jen LaForge, TM. Cast members, particularly college program cast members, but also cast members, like to date each other. And then they like to break up and have everything be complicated. And so when you have a gathering of all cast members, be it one of the holiday events, be it like when they have the, Magic Kingdom open just for cast members or whatever, this tends to happen. But I can only imagine in a seated scenario that there was a lot of, I used to date that guy. Yeah, no, yeah.
And guess what? They're all meeting in one place. That's great.
I think it's probably true of any environment where you have a lot of fairly good looking young adults that work in one place. And, that's just what happens.
Disney in Idaho.
That's just what happens.
We couldn't put it in Wisconsin.
And what really all they do is work and go to the parks. So who are they going to date other than other Disney parks cast members?
And I am the most I love impacting people, but I am the least Disney cast member. I'm like, I want somebody to throw me in the river. Anyways, so beside the point, the show starts,
dun, 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 dun.
And it is a rock concert. It is a full-on rock concert. By the time this comes out, everyone who have wanted to see Fantasmic in video would have done so by now. So I won't ruin the actual effects themselves.
No spoilers.
But the lighting design is incredible. Like, it is rock concert level incredible. But Michael Mouse himself. My favorite sections, all I have to say about the new section that everyone is worried about, it is incredible. It's incredible.
Good.
It's incredible. Then. And there is one particular moment that I'm going to call it the Jesus moment, and anybody who has seen it knows what I'm talking about. But my friend Brie, who's religious, looks at me, and it happened. She went, Jesus? It was really funny.
Is it happening?
He's back.
Wouldn't have pegged him using Disney parks, but okay.
Okay, whatever. I mean, I think a few people would have pegged it. But
I can only imagine.
Who is this guy? Shout for joy. Mercy me. That's me recreating. For anybody who's
Bart Millard.
only listening, that was me realizing that the narrator of Candlelight was the more
I love how
scenery.
we insert like jokes that now people who listen to the podcast every week know what we're talking about, but anyone who's like just found us is like,
I just
what
want
is
to know about
happening right
Fantasmic,
now?
literally. There's a really cool quick change moment in the show that's been added. That's really
A
cool.
quick change.
And we all know I love a quick change.
Who
And then-
doesn't?
who doesn't? I guess I can say that. I guess it's not that big of a spoiler. The boats are back with the princesses. Those boats are back. So that's
Yep.
really cool. There's a few extra characters on the ferry boat
Oh,
that are very, very cool. I actually think it's less of a cast. There's fewer people than the previous Fant, but it feels like more.
Okay, so question for those of us that are me, who we struggle with the crowd scenario.
Ooh.
Please share your strategy if you are someone who is easily overstimulated. Is it better to arrive quite late so that you're not in the cram of people trying to get into the theater, or is it better to arrive quite early? Like what would be your...
So that's a great point, because I even said I would have been, because your ass hurts on those benches, bro.
Yeah.
Those benches were repainted, and that was it.
Like you could bring a stadium. You could bring one
and
of those
I'd
stadium
recommend,
cushions.
especially if you got a sensitive bootay. Guess
Yeah.
what? You bring it.
Throw
it,
that
sister.
in that. It won't fit in your lounge fly, but you can throw that in your backpack.
And she knows that.
Oh, I do. Let's talk about that someday. Let's have a whole episode about how you can't fit shit in a lounge fly. What?
I need money. I need a sponsorship. So Jen, you're gonna shut your mouth. I will beep out anything you say about lounge
I thought we
fly.
were going with Canada Dry ginger ale. I thought we were safe.
I'm only having few conversations with Canada Dry. No, I wish I had waited a little bit, but we didn't know the response because there was no registration for this particular event. It was only Hollywood Studios cast, and my roommate was a Hollywood Studios cast, so we didn't know how many people were going to show up.
First of all, if you've seen the show before and you just want the feel and the atmosphere, in my view, there really aren't any bad seats. I mean, I think you can really be anywhere in the auditorium
and enjoy it.
So for me, like how likely is it that it, like when it sells out, because they still do standing room even when there's no seating, right?
But the standing room can sell out.
Okay.
And it has,
so
because everyone has heard that announcement somewhere in the park and they go, this performance of Fantasmic is currently at capacity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, here's me. As we are well aware,
sure.
I am not one to generally do anything when it would get to capacity. Does that make sense? So
Correct.
Part of me is kind of like, I almost would like to make it a thing like, well, we'll go if we can. And then like right before performance, if it's not sold out, I would waltz in and do standing room. And if it is, I would just...
That's probably the thing I would do. And that's the thing I did before Fan closed. I was always the person who would roll up to Fan 45 minutes before the show in hopes that there are some good seats, you know?
If it works, it works. If it doesn't...
It works. And if you're willing to wait, it also offers a disability access pass. So if you have a DAS pass specifically for those heavy crowds, you go through Lightning Lane, and I think you get it in a little bit early. And I bet if you were nice and you talked to a manager, I bet you could get some sort of accommodation if you really couldn't do crowds, but you really wanted to see the show.
Well, you know what you could do too, and this is what I always recommend to people. If you're someone who is like me, who doesn't actually have any form of a issue that requires, a special pass or anything, but you just get upset. I would always ask a manager or just anyone standing there that looked like they weren't in the college program. Because college program people know nothing. They know nothing.
And they don't. And it's okay that they don't.
It's okay, because how could they possibly? How could they possibly? So find someone that looks older than, 25 or 24 and say, listen, here's my deal. The crowds really freak me out. Where should I go? And I've had great luck asking that question for parades, for shows, and they're very good about saying either skip it, which I have been told. Like
sometimes it's the best thing.
What Parade? I would do, like seriously,
if they can't put you in the DAS section, there's no helping you.
You know what I would do? Go hang out over by Mark Twain and just like chill and wait for everything to clear out and enjoy some atmosphere. Right. All that to say, don't ever be afraid to ask people who look like they know what they're doing, what is the best strategy for this? Because I love how we all do so much research online, but things change really quickly. And that one
They change
YouTuber
on
that you
us, brother.
follow it doesn't necessarily know what's going on that particular night, or things can be rerouted. So,
and I also recommend, so if if you walk into Fantasmic and you're looking at the big stage, heading to the right hand side, because that is one, the major exit, and two, if you typically go all the way down to the front, you one, typically have a little bit more room, and two, you can typically, I mean, if you want to run when you see the ferry boat, if you want to just run to the exit, that is a possibility. If you want to watch the entire show, which the end is my favorite, so I wouldn't skip the end. But if you're like, I told the girls, I said, I'm popping a squat right here and waiting everyone to exit. So if you feel comfortable waiting the 20-25 minutes for everyone to mass exit, then do that, because especially if you're in the front, in the bottom right, it's a whole big area. No one's going to mess with you. So I don't know. That's kind of my 2 cents.
I love it. I love it.
My friends, we are in for a real treat for the season 2 finale, because our incredible patrons recommended this to us. And like pretty much when we filmed last week's episode, I said, nope, this is the topic next week. And Jen was like, that's a really great idea. And it is the idea of solo travel, which is a huge topic on Jen's channel of Joyful Living, and even your regular Disney channel as well. But solo travel in general, no matter Disney or non-related. Specifically the freedoms and sometimes the mental health woes of maybe the idea of traveling by yourself.
Yes, I was so excited to do this because it's the thing that I get asked about probably the most. And the people who ask me about it are typically women who are like, I've raised, this is the demographic that reaches out about it the most. I've raised my kids. There's all these things I still want to do. I have a partner who can't get off work, which, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, that's my story. We raised our kids. I took some time off work to travel, ended up turning it into a business, but Scott is still working very hard and has very limited vacation. So, I needed to travel by myself, and it became something I needed to do. And now it's something I really love to do. I will always have people reach out and be like, I would be your travel buddy, or you need to find a travel buddy. At this point, I have so many people that I could travel with. I really, really like traveling by myself. So maybe we would start there, Liam. What are the different reasons why for you sometimes solo travel is actually preferable to other forms? And we're going to put it in context of Disney parks in particular. But you and I have had this conversation about Disneyland, about other things. Why do you sometimes choose, even though you don't have to choose that, to travel by yourself?
You know what I need more of?
What?
I want a special episode of Unlimited Time Magic meant just for me. I want a great community. I want voting privileges. And sometimes I want to be harassed by Liam Munn. And all of that can be yours.
You know what I want?
What?
For you never to do that voice again. And also to be in the shot. So seriously, we would love it if you would join us on Patreon, but there's no pressure. I'm holding sunscreen because Liam just bought it for me. But yeah, there's no pressure.
There's no pressure, but you might get... think of Patreon as your own sunblock. Without us, you could survive, but you'd be burned.
We cannot do what we do without you. Doobie-doo.
You can find our Patreon by searching in the search engine at patreon.com or in our link tree found in our Instagram. For as little as $5 a month, you get one bonus episode every single month, behind-the-scenes footage, helpful tricks and hints to your favorite parks, and one really great community. Links can be found in the link tree.
Why do you sometimes choose, even though you don't have to choose that, to travel by yourself?
Right. I call it my daily, why would you break your daily regimen of feeding yourself what you need to in order to armor yourself for the world just because you're on vacation?
Right.
That's my thing, right? So I have my little things. I have my journaling. I have my running. I have my meditation at points if I'm feeling overtly anxious over the next few days. But my travel buddy that I go to Disneyland with all the time, which is Kelsey, we are great at, hey, I am feeling overstimulated, or I'm feeling like I need some sad girl hour, and I need to go by myself for like 3 or 4 hours, right? So that's a small, minute version of solo travel, right? But I can relate it way more to Disney World because I do it all of the time. But I have legit just gone to a Disney hotel and checked in for a night. And the reason that I do it is because it feels like a gift to yourself. This is so stupid, but I just read an article of Jennifer Garner threw herself a wedding party for her birthday. Like, and I said, what? And I said, Jennifer Garner is and was my crush growing up. I think she's incredible. You know, Jennifer Garner style, it feels like a present to yourself. It feels like you are celebrating. And I know this sounds silly, but as people, we get so few moments to actually do something to show appreciation for ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Like we can say, I love myself. I'm like, great, but what are you doing?
Right. And I think, and you and I chatted about this when we were doing the writers' meeting, a lot of people who are going through recovery from some kind of trauma, or if they're going through therapy for depression or anxiety or whatever the case may be, so much of what we thought made us happy has been wrapped up in other people and their expectations. And I definitely can say this for myself, as a recovering Enneagram 2 people pleaser who tends to martyr myself to the needs of others, which doesn't help anyone. This journey for me of starting to travel by myself really made me realize that a lot of the time I didn't even know what I liked. Like if I were, and I would say to you, if you're hearing this and I say to you, you have a whole day, whether it be at Disney World or, in a big city or whatever, to yourself, what do you want to do? And you're a little stumped. You are the person who needs to do some solo travel because you don't know yourself. You don't know what makes you happy. And it's so cliche, but like take yourself on a date. Like what outside of the context of what the rest of my family likes or what my partner likes, what kind of food do I even want to go eat? How do I want to pace my day? I think for me, I traveled solo before we had kids, but then once we had kids, it became even more important to go on my own to reconnect with who I am, just Jen. No, out of the context of what does my husband want? What do my kids want? What does my employer want? What am I doing for this? What am I doing for that? And it's very empowering, but at first it can feel a little awkward. Like if you've never done it before, like the eating by yourself and the like going to things by yourself. Does that make sense? Did you like when you first started doing stuff like that on your own, did you have any things that were like kind of?
No, it's so funny because my hardest mental health days I was finding were my days off, were the days where I had to be silent, were the days where I just had to sit. And I brought it to my therapist. I said, I don't know what to do, but my worries, my intrusive thoughts, all of these things are coming up on my days off, the days where I should be relaxing. And it came down to the thought of I did not deserve to be relaxed. Or I did not deserve rest, and that goes to the people pleasing, that goes to constantly needing to be on in order to feel successful.
Well, then if value is connected to productivity and worth is connected to what you do for others, if you're not either working or experiencing leisure in such a way that you are helping with your family, or you are making your partner laugh, or you're making your boyfriend, girlfriend laugh, or you are entertaining someone all the time because you grew up believing that was what you brought to the table. When you're just alone and there's no one to perform for, how do you find joy? And if you can't answer the question, you have a couple of choices. You can just ignore that and just make yourself busy all the time and always be with other people, which is a choice, which is something that I have done. I think
people do. Yeah.
I mean, it's a choice. Or you can sit with the discomfort and figure out what makes me happy completely independently of anybody else? What brings me joy? It's a journey, and it doesn't happen the first time. And, I would say if you've never done any solo travel, maybe start with even just like taking yourself out to dinner in your own town. Like, you don't have to go from nothing to, a 10-day trip to Europe by yourself. You can take baby steps to feel more comfortable. But the feeling uncomfortable alone thing is a very, very common experience, especially for, broken people, which is everyone, but.
And the fear you're experiencing, the anxiety you are feeling because you haven't taken that big trip, or because you were scared to go to that hotel by yourself because you don't know what's going to happen because of safety, because of this, because of that, that is a lie.
But the lie of personal safety, I really feel like we need to address, because I believe the statistic is either 80 or 90% of the time, violence that happens to people is by someone that they know. Okay. So actual violence happening to you from a stranger is extremely rare. Okay. I'm not saying don't be smart. I'm not saying don't make, really great choices. And we could do a whole separate segment. Maybe that would be a great season 3 thing about personal safety when you're traveling solo, because there are tons of things that you can do. But there is sort of this irrational fear that is perpetrated by news outlets and things like that. I had a friend recently that a friend of hers wouldn't go to Chicago on a work trip because her husband was terrified that, she would get shot and all these bad things would happen. Just be very cautious that you're going by accurate information and not hysteria that is being pushed by someone with an agenda. Okay. Whether that be a political agenda, a news agenda, whatever. By and large, travel is extremely safe. So anyway.
And again, it's shortchanging yourself. You are smart.
Yeah.
Like,
you know how to keep yourself
don't go
safe.
down the dark alley, brother. Like,
nobody knows how to keep you safe like you know how to keep you safe. And that's why I think segueing into Disney, that's such a great option, whether that be Disney Cruise Line, which I love Disney Cruise Line for solo travel.
Disney Cruise Line.
Oh, amazing.
Brother.
Okay.
Also, follow Samantha Brown on Instagram, because she has some really great tidbits. Because that's literally been her career, and I think she said it yesterday on her story. It was like maybe a week ago. I'm sorry, but she said she has truly been traveling since her mid-20s, like by herself for work. And she's 45 now, something. She's in her 40s, might be touching 50, but she said she's only been in a violent situation twice. And that's incredible.
And both times she came out of it okay.
Right. And I just want to bring that up because she literally does it every week. So the fact she's done like 52, brother.
Same age as me.
Samantha Brown brought me through the Disney Travel Channel, and I lost it. She's so cool. She's
funny too, because we're the same age, but I had my kids really early, and she had her kids. She had her whole career first and then had her kids. Well, I had a career too, but now I have a travel career. So it's kind of funny for me because
it's kind of flip-flops. She did the travel early on. You did the travel later on. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So
anyway, Disney
I'm
time.
Convinced we would be best friends.
I think so too.
So we were going to segue into
Disney solo travel.
Disney solo travel.
Yeah, so we are going to talk specifically about Disney World, because I feel like Land and World have different vibes. They have different protocols. But more specifically, Disney World. I mean, I can bring up my experience a few weeks ago, not weeks, months now, geez. Right when Wilderness Lodge reopened, I went to Wilderness by myself. I love Wilderness Lodge. I think it's the best. I love Trails End. I love the ambiance. I love the boat rides. Just some of the things I really love to do by myself. I mean, I call it be your artsy fartsy self. Go pick up a book and go to a coffee shop. Dummy. Just go. And
it's true though. It's true.
And it kind of feels like you're living a
in which to do that.
You kind of feel like you're living a stereotype. You're like, I'm gonna go read.
Yeah.
But it's live your stereotype.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
Right.
Nothing wrong with it.
Well, stereotypes exist a lot of times because they're an ideal. Like that's kind of like the picture of sitting by a crackling fire at Wilderness Lodge, pretending that it's cold outside, even though it's not, and, with a book and just enjoying the sounds, especially during the holidays, the Christmas tree and all of that. I mean, that's all the things that, especially if you've traveled predominantly with your family to Disney,
Right.
you kind of would longingly, maybe out of the corner of your eye. Okay, picture the scene, Liam. You're in the lobby at the Wilderness Lodge. You're with in your case, your mom and or your dad and or your mom and your stepdad and your siblings. And people are, all over the place, and everyone's not deciding what they want to do. And you look out of the corner of your eye and you see a gentleman sitting there with an interesting book, looking oh so relaxed, sipping a beverage right by the fire, and you think, wow, someday I'm going to be that gentleman. Like it is kind of the dream. And when you travel solo, those are the things you can do. You can do things like I make no bones about the fact that I have a bit of a band, what do we call it? Obsession when it comes to the marching bands, both at Walt Disney World and Disneyland.
Right.
When you travel solo, you know what you can do? You can literally follow them around.
And she does.
And I do, and I have. You can find out exactly where they're going to be and when, and you can enjoy them on Main Street, and then you can go and enjoy them over here. And if you're at Disneyland, you can go enjoy them on the Tomorrowland Big Terrace thing and all of that. You think that if I was traveling with anyone else, they would ever want to follow the marching band around? I'm going to go with no, but that's what I love. And so that's what I get to do when I'm by myself.
Right. I thought about that the other night. We haven't had a marching band at World in 4.5 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
No, the band is there. It's still there. It's still there because I saw it not that long ago.
Oh, okay, I believe you. I've never.
But they're
seen
very
them.
limited. They're very limited. Disneyland's is out all the time. One of the reasons I think Disney World's is so limited is because of the heat. I think that there's strict protocols around that with Disney World.
And one of some of my favorite things. I mean, I love a coffee moment at Studios. Studios is the closest thing that makes me feel like Disneyland. So I'll do like Studios, I'll do like a coffee, I'll do a sunset moment. I do love a Sunset Boulevard moment. And I think some of the rides over at World have the biggest opportunity to, like, I don't know, vibe by yourself. Like I could do a Tower of Terror, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway by myself. I love those rides very much. I also love the more singular experiences. Like I'm not a fan of Star Wars, but like Launch Bay and like One Man's Dream. One Man's Dream is my favorite attraction at Disney World, hands down. And that is something you should experience by yourself. Even if you're with a party, go in there for an AC break and all split up. Yep. Meet at the movie in 15 minutes.
So let's talk about that. That's a good opportunity. People always ask me, don't you feel weird being in the theme parks by yourself? I personally have never felt that. But I'm also kind of how do I say this? I kind of go by, don't worry about what other people think of you, because they hardly ever do. Like everyone at the parks is so wrapped up in their own moment that no one is paying attention to what you're doing as an individual. Right. And it's so common for people that are traveling with big groups to split up for a little while anyway,
right,
that I've never felt odd about it. Not even like I've dined. One of my favorite places to dine by myself is the Brown Derby, which you've never eaten at, which I need to go with you to that.
Salad.
The Cobb salad and the grapefruit cake. That's what we got to go there to get. But
we are doing, I have decided with my roommate, we've decided that for a Patreon meetup in the future, because we're doing a mini golf meetup for kind of season 2. I want to do a season 3. I want to do a Muppets gala where you dress in fancy clothes and you eat at Brown Derby and you see Muppet Vision 3D.
There is absolutely nothing that I dislike about that idea.
But I need you to be here, so we'll figure it out.
Maybe we could do that in January when I'm there.
That's cute. We're doing a Muppet gala. Everybody come in January.
Yeah, I have some formal wear that would be fitting.
I do have some. I do own a dress.
I have wardrobe for that. I'm feeling like I need to be vibing with a Miss Piggy vibe.
That's what I mean. I was like, I feel like I should do a Kermit and you should do a Miss Piggy.
Yeah. I think we can do a cosplay effectively.
Cosplay.
And then we get somebody to take our picture. Like we hang back and we get somebody to take our picture with all of us in the row in our formal wear. I'm doing this by myself. Now this you might feel weird doing.
Now that you might feel a little weird. No, but to add on to all of that, yeah. Like everyone's in their own moment. If somebody has a passing comment about how you're by yourself, that just doesn't make sense. Like they have no idea about what you're doing or who you're with. Like, so anybody who's going to judge you, guess what? They're going to judge you no matter what. So you might as well live your life.
And if you need a backstory, and I don't do this. Yeah, I don't do this anymore, but I used to have, well, this is the second episode in a row we have advocated lying. But especially if you're like me and you really do like to chat with people, a good backstory is like worth its weight in gold and it has to be something that could be true. You know, maybe it's, I'm here with my partner and he's at a work conference.
He's currently gone.
Can I tell you, both at Disneyland and Disney World, the work conference thing is 100% true. There are, at any given moment, there are thousands of people that are at the theme parks for work who brought their significant other with them for the trip because the company paid for it. So nobody's batting an eye at that. You know, you can, it could be, my husband and for me, it could be, my husband and my kids are riding Everest a million times. And that's why I'm sitting here looking out at the water, drinking coffee by myself, like
little do they know. The kids are in Georgia.
I don't do that anymore because, well, number one, I'm pretty, I don't do that anymore. Well, I should say that unless I feel like I'm being flirted with, in which case I can come up with very elaborate stories.
My husband, who is 6'7".
I know that it seems unlikely, Liam, but
I flirt with you all the time. Come on, sister.
Definitely have a backstory that you can use if needed.
Correct.
One tip that is very, very practical that I always like to tell, particularly really anybody, but more women that are traveling alone, do try to choose a resort with interior corridors as opposed to exterior corridors. I know that like Pop Century is a really good option because of price, but it's less safe to have a motel style hotel room as opposed to like Coronado Springs in the tower, because no one could like follow you back to your room and push you in. Sorry. This is like my one big safety tip. There was a hotel at Disneyland where this happened. I'm more cautious about this at Disneyland than at Disney World because Disneyland, you're not in a guard gated really bubble where there's security guards. And I mean, it's pretty hard to commit a random crime even at Pop Century because you're going to have to get past multiple points of people checking to make sure you're where you're supposed to be.
Correct.
Having said that, or even like Art of Animation has some rooms that are interior hallways. For me, it's more of a thing where like I get paranoid about it. So it just makes me feel more calm. Yeah, it makes me feel safer. Whether or not that's actually true or not, I would rather pay a little bit more per night.
It's a personal thing, right?
Right. So
I think that's great. And also like don't gaslight yourself into thinking those extra steps that you're taking, that extra $30-$40 a night you're taking isn't worth it. If it's for your comfortable safety, then just do it. No one, no one cares, sister.
That's another thing. If they put you on the first floor, if you don't have a balcony, it doesn't matter. But first floors, if you have a balcony, make me nervous. And that's just me, but I won't sleep well because I'll be concerned that someone could break in through the balcony door. Like it's those kinds of things. Like, I love that you said, don't gaslight yourself because whatever it is that like my mom's a great example. My mom has an irrational fear of being stuck in a hotel during a fire. She just does. So she hates being on a high floor in a hotel. Hates it because she wants to know that and then she has to know exactly where the stairs are so that she could quickly exit the building if the elevators went down. Is it irrational? Maybe, but it's real to her. So I always am totally fine accommodating that when we travel together. So treat yourself that way.
Right.
And I think that's maybe a good rule of thumb in general. Like if you were traveling with a friend and they felt this way, would you do whatever you could to accommodate that fear, rational or not? If the answer is yes, then do the same thing for yourself.
And that's kind of it. Yep. There are a few Disney attractions as well that I want to bring up. The fact that they do offer a single rider option.
Yep.
Expedition Everest being one of them. The wait is never longer than 30 minutes. 30 minutes is like max. Soarin' has recently done it over at Epcot, including Test Track has done it. Magic Kingdom, there's none.
No, Space Mountain though. Now when you get to the divide, if you tell them you're a single rider,
oh, that's great.
at the second Fast Pass thing,
Kiosk
and
thing,
I've heard that so many people that I know have had success with this lately. They let you skip on either side the whole, like, do you know what I'm talking about? If you when
so
you, well, I know
for
Liam does, when
lightning for lightning lane, when you scan the first time and then you're about to scan in the second, that second we call it the lobby merge point, depending on what attraction you're at.
right.
And that is where bulk of the line is for standby. If you look to the left-hand side, like you're walking into Space Mountain into the load platform, the majority of the wait is going to be in those like windy lines. So what
Right.
Jen is saying, instead of taking a left into all the windy lines and being stuck, get someone's attention to be like, hey, I'm single rider. Does that mean anything? Because they
Right.
could
And
just
they
say
may
no, but
they
so where's she
lately
say
a
30
lot.
minutes.
And you know, you're not cutting the line, you're actually helping the cast member because you're allowing them to fill in those. The goal, and Liam, correct me if I'm wrong, but the goal is to never send a car out with an empty spot. You want those
Right.
cars because that's all about the efficiency. So yeah, I mean, so that would be the only example at Magic Kingdom. Sorry.
Right. And then studios, of course, Rock and Roller Coaster has one.
Which can be longer
Uh,
than the regular line. So be
But
careful
that's a
with that
coaster.
one.
That's a coaster problem.
One of my best things to do when you're by yourself
Oh
is when you get to the shows frequently, and we're talking Finding Nemo, we're talking Festival of the Lion King. You can get there almost right before it starts and tell the cast member I'm one person, and there is great seating available because they usually, like, they may not have room for 5 people. And I'm assuming it's not a sold out, right, where they're closing it to anybody, but I've had luck like that so many times, and
yeah.
I don't always get the best seat, but a lot of the times the cast members are like, yeah. And all of a sudden you're in like 4th row on the end and you have a perfect
And
seat.
you're typically on the aisle.
Well, there's a lot of good benefits to just being one person.
Right.
Everything from it's really easy to find a chaise lounge at the hotel pool. A lot of times you can eat at the bar at the restaurants that nobody can ever, you know, get a table at. If you're just one person, eating at the bar is no big deal. Eating is actually quite easy, especially some of the hard to get ADRs. If you do last minute table for one, things will pop up. Really anymore, things will pop up even for larger parties, but I've had fantastic luck searching for Just Me, California Grill, Citricos, like all of these things. I love fine dining by myself, which a lot of people think is odd, but I find that I get amazing service from the cast member because they're just taking care of me.
Right.
You can really enjoy your meal. You can order whatever you want. I ate one of my favorite meals on Disney property was recently I ate at Space, what's it called? Space 220,
220,
which is ridiculously overpriced. But aside from that, I had so much fun. And my server, because it was just me, we ended up having such a great conversation about the restaurant, about a little more detail about the restaurant, things like that, that normally if they're working a whole table, you never could do.
Right.
So I don't know. I really like dining by myself in the nicer places. It's fun.
And to be honest, because you're by yourself, you're naturally more flexible. You're naturally like, okay, whatever works. Like, okay, no, okay, that's fine. I'll go to quick service, not the end of the world. So it's like,
right.
And I would even encourage you to bring that flexibility to your family with your party of 4 or 5, because so many of the times I interact with families that aren't having a good day just because they want it to go. Their intention is so good, but they're just so caught up in the business that they're not having a great day. So it's,
and I blame people like us for that, by the way. I blame content influencers. I blame YouTube channels because they have sold this lie that there's only one best way to have a Disney vacation. And if you miss out on that one best way, you're not going to have a good trip and it's ruined and you've wasted all your money. And I just, you know, I was thinking about Disneyland the other day. You and I were talking about how Disneyland relies on social media to share things with people. We walked into Oogie Boogie not really knowing very much. And I think that made us have a better time. Like I was watching a content creator that I really love she had done all of her research in advance and had a lot of set expectations for what was going to happen at Oogie Boogie, and she did not have a good time.
Wow.
We walked, and she felt like it was a waste of money. Well, not that it was a waste of money, but that it wasn't a good value. We walked in not really having any expectations and had the time of our lives. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
So much fun.
So I do think there is an inverse relationship. Am I using that word correctly? When you have too much research, your expectations then meet the amount of research that you've done, and you can't possibly have the trip that you've planned for, because in order for that to happen, absolutely everything has to go perfectly. And what's the one thing we know for sure, Liam, about a Disney day?
Things don't go as planned.
Nope. It's going to rain. Someone's going to throw up, maybe on you. I don't know.
It's happened, brother. It's so true. And it's like, you deserve the moment of I always tell this to myself whenever I seem to be getting overwhelmed. Feed yourself the thing you want. And for me, it's give yourself the grace that you're giving other people, and understand that it's awful. It's an awful feeling because you just want it to go well. Your vacation, your solo travel, you want it to go well. But suddenly you're like, I have to be flexible. If I'm going to have a good time, I need to be malleable. And that's kind of the biggest thing with solo travel, is I'm really malleable. I'm like, whatever. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
I've really gotten good. And I started doing this by myself, and it has now leaked over to whenever I'm traveling with other people.
Travel.
If all of a sudden I find myself feeling incredibly tense, and it's like, I am just not having fun right now, I just take a beat and just am like, what's going on? Like, instead of continuing to spiral into madness, let's pull off to the side. Let's take 30 seconds. And this is great to do by yourself. It's especially great to do with little children, because Liam sees this all day long, and I experience this. When someone is not having a good time and no one acknowledges it or stops and tries to figure out why, and we just keep doubling down and doubling down and doubling down, we're having a meltdown. This is an inevitability.
We're having an actual meltdown.
And then there's screaming and crying and kicking, and sometimes it's the children and sometimes it's the adults. So the minute that you sense, either in yourself, if you're traveling by yourself or with someone in your party, that something is amiss, take the beat and be like, all right, are we hungry? Are we thirsty? Are we too hot?
Yeah.
Is it just too crowded and it's time to call it a day? What is the on the hierarchy of needs, what need is not being met right now, and how can we address it? And if we can't address it, how can we get the hell out of here so that the meltdown that's getting ready to happen can happen in the car or, somewhere
else? I'd fully agree with that. Again, to feed yourself the thing that you need. Don't starve yourself because you need to hold yourself to an expectation.
And I've told that story before about the mom that was like, we don't have to come to get a snack because we're going to miss our fast pass. And the dad was like, no, we are going to stop and we are going to give our 3-year-old a snack. And if we're late, we're late.
Just talk to cast members like human beings and lead with empathy. I'm so sorry. My son needed a snack. We're like 5 minutes late. $20 will be like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Literally. And parents laugh at me because that's what I tell them. They're like, you don't care. And I'm like, no, the only time I will care is when you're mean and you hold us to an expectation that is your own world.
But what are some other of your favorite solo things to do?
So if we're talking about Disney World, I mean, I love a good Epcot walk to see voices, because what's cool is that each Voice of Liberty show over at Epcot at the American Adventure is different. So you'll see 2 shows back to back and they'll be completely different.
You could do just live entertainment at Epcot. Drinks and snacks and live entertainment at that is beautiful.
Yeah. So I really love that in Epcot. I love Rafiki's Planet Watch over at Disney's Animal Kingdom. You get to pet goats. I love the goats.
Love the goats.
You can spend a good 3 hours there. It's a petting zoo. So literally you can spend, talking to animal experts.
Right.
There's now the drawing experience over there, which I used to hate, but now as an adult, I kind of love it because I'm so bad at it, but it's kind of fun. But yeah, that's some of my favorite things. What are yours?
So I love a good monorail shopping,
that is
drinking
great. And you do
moment.
love that.
Now, I obviously, if I'm going to do drinking and I'm by myself, we're talking like I'm doing like a cocktail, but I love to do like a cocktail and then walk around. The shops at Grand Floridian are just so much fun.
Basin.
And what is my favorite? What is my favorite shop on property? Do you remember, Liam?
Boutique.
Boutique. Oh, you know what?
Browse.
Recently, and this is something.
All a gift card.
Yeah, I've done this the last 3 trips, and it's something that you can only do now. You couldn't do it before, and that is walking from Magic Kingdom all the way to the Polynesian.
We have done that.
You walk through Grand Floridian, huh?
You and I walked to Grand.
Yeah, we did. It's great though, and it's so like scenic and beautiful and peaceful, and love that. Love at places like at the Contemporary, looking at the boats and things like that. I love to do in theme parks, shows, things that when I'm with my family, they really don't want to spend the time doing. Carousel Progress, People Mover, those kinds of, all the non-A-list stuff is what I love. And the best part is no Genie Plus required for any of these things.
Right.
Country Bear, love Country Bear by myself. And Country Bear, which you have still not done, is that correct?
No, I've done it.
Why did I think you had never done Country Bear Jamboree?
Probably because I don't like to go there. But
you need to go with me because it's
a sing-along.
It's a sing-along. It is.
Y'all, what an incredible season 2 finale. Remember, for all of our beautiful patrons, just because we are not uploading for 2 weeks, we'll be back November 26th. Just in time for the holiday season. We will still be posting on Patreon, so you'll get your unlimited episode, the extra episode you get, and still behind the scenes. And actually, I'm planning on a few cool things for November that we're planning to do for season 3. You will help us create season 3, which I'm really, really pumped about because we got a lot of cool ideas. So to bounce them off our patrons will be super fun. Follow us on Instagram at Unlimited Time Magic, and my friends, have the best 2 weeks ever. But
And happy Thanksgiving to our American viewers, because Thanksgiving will have come and gone by the time we are back. So
come and gone.
Yeah.
All right. Friends, Merry Christmas.
And we are thankful for you.
Muppet Vision.
Another episode of Unlimited Time Magic is through. Please follow us on Instagram at Unlimited Time Magic. Support us on Patreon if you'd like to do that. Plenty of benefits. It's really, really great. And we're not on Main Street, but we will see you on Main Street. Look, it's out there. Nailed it.